Welcome to the Local
724 podcast.
in 3, 2, 1.
Ashley Nicklaus in the house. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing really well myself. So you came down to talk to us today about the jewelry shop that you and your husband own. So why don't you tell us a little bit about where you guys are located and how you kind of got into this business?
All right. Well, I am Ashley Nicklaus, sole owner, proprietor of the Pawn and Jewelry Exchange. We are in downtown Greensburg. We are directly across the street from the stereo shop, and we also have some awesome neighbors at Wellness on the Point, right near Flat Tire and Top Coat. So, the Pawn and Jewelry Exchange is home to Brian Nicklaus Jewelry. And, our gig, we're a small business, husband and wife team, and, putting food on the table.
Very good. So how did you end up getting into like the pawn business? That's pretty interesting.
Right.
I mean, like typically you would think that that's kind of like a male business. You know what I mean?
Yes. It's interesting you say that. I mean, if you would have asked me 15 years ago that, hey, what do you think you're going to be doing in 2020? Owning a pawn shop would probably not be one of them.
Yeah.
I went to Seton Hill, graduated with an art history degree, and my eyes were on, being in the art museum curator world, and that was my goal. And then I met my first husband, and he was a pawn shop owner down south, incredibly successful. We moved up here, and we started the business here in 2005. And then in 2013, I took over the business, and now I'm here, and we're just, we're the only licensed pawn shop in Westmoreland County, which is a pretty big deal.
Really?
Yeah. So what's a good niche about what we have is that we offer a full-service jewelry store in-house, custom castings, ring sizings, shot in a beer, like whatever, we do it all there. So it's kind of a really cool laid back atmosphere.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's fun.
So as far as what's happened this year, I guess, with the COVID and everything like that, how did that affect your business? So,
COVID hit, and I'm thinking, okay, we are in a position to help our community. Let's promote. We're here to provide loans for people. We provide small cash loans. So bring your collateral in, and we can offer you a loan on your item. We were prepared to be doing lots of loans during the approach of COVID, and it actually kind of turned. Was not prepared for what we were going to be hit with. I mean, we had a lot of people that are had time on their hands, and they come in and they said, I'm ready to let's do that custom design that we were always talking about. Let's my daughter, she's, her dance was put on hold. I want to do something special for her. Let's get her some earrings. Let's get her something. It was a completely different scenario than what I had projected it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. At first I saw it was kind of more worry and despair.
Yes.
And then, once everyone kind of adjusted to what was happening, then I think that it kind of got more, we'll say comfortable, maybe adaptable. And,
comfortable, I don't know.
Yeah, for some people, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it's really weird. So how do you think that? I mean, it's definitely helped your business, obviously, because now you have people that are probably going through their houses thinking like, oh, well, I don't need this. We're gonna do some cleaning and. They come down and you guys are making transactions. You guys are doing business. We are. And, collaborating, the influx in gold prices with the market, that's helped. A lot of people have seen that the influx of gold, the increase of the value hasn't hit this high in 8 or 9 years. So wow,
that's a pretty big deal. But it's also been interesting that it's been allowing me to take a step back and kind of pivot and figure out, okay, so we have this pandemic going on. How am I going to make this work? So a lot of it was just listening to podcasts, listening to other people going through the same things that we're going through, collaborating a lot with a lot of small businesses in our area. So, reaching out to RSVP and More. They have a couple of our pieces in their showrooms. Courtney from Masters Pieces,
Yeah.
she and I are working together on a project.
Cool.
Betty Jane Soaps that's in the downtown marketplace on Thursdays. We're doing geode bath bombs or collaborating on that avenue. So it's really cool for me to think outside the box.
Yeah.
And not just think, okay, what next piece of jewelry are we doing? Typically, our jewelry that comes in through the pawn shop, we refurbish, ensure that, diamonds are diamonds, rubies are rubies, and polish it, refurbish it, maybe reformat it in some way and put it in the showcase. Now we're exploring avenues of, okay, what if we get a line in here? That's kind of cool. And it's interesting, the response that we're getting. It's fun.
It's really interesting. I mean, just to think that this was, a horrible thing that we had to go through, but then adapting to that and then almost forcing ourselves to get creative as far as partnering up with businesses and things. And that's, it's really cool that you found a way to do that. I think that everyone's trying to get as creative as they can, and do that. And there's a lot of cool partnerships going on around town, and it's really cool. And it benefits the community ultimately. I mean, everyone is just like, oh, these are two of my favorite stores. Or they're like, I like this store, but I've never heard of these guys. So then you're introduced to new and different things all the time.
And one thing that was interesting is when I was listening to your podcast with Courtney, I'm looking on her Instagram, like, what is this chick? What's she got going on? So, and I'm like, oh, that's a cool cup. Bought the cup, and then when she came by, I said, hey, take a look at this product that I'm partnering with another small business. She says, I'm opening up a spot in, is it Latrobe?
Yeah, she's down on Ligonier Street.
Ligonier Street, yes. And, she's like, well, let's put some in the store. So it's kind of coming.
That's so cool.
So COVID has kind of forced us, I don't know if forcing is the right word, but just thinking outside the box and figuring out a way just to make it work.
And that's the biggest thing. I mean, I think that, it's, I don't know, we'll call it forceful adapting. That's the easiest way to describe it, I think. And everybody has to, restaurants are doing the curbside stuff or outside dining, and Greensburg has been really cool about, if you're out on the sidewalk, you can have an alcoholic beverage. It's cool just to be able to figure out, what's able to be done. Right. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the cool thing.
It is.
But, as far as you getting into this business and things like that, I mean, what about the pawn business did you really think was really cool? What made you stick with it?
I think the support system I had. Wise man once said to me, always put people around you that are smarter than you, right? So I don't have a business degree, so I got to find someone that's going to help me crunch these numbers, help me see where I'm losing money, help me see, is it worth having a pawn license? Is it worth doing the pawns, And it's just having that creative out of the box thinking all the way around you, and I want to be learning, in addition to the pawn business and the jewelry business, I've recently become a registered gemologist appraiser. So that means test gemstones and write appraisals for people and, let them know what they have is valuable. So
that's awesome.
So I'm kind of trying to channel different things and, mom life, wife life. It's a lot.
It is a lot. So what about the TV shows? Everybody knows the TV shows, the pawn shows.
Yes.
Do you think that those are helpful or kind of hurtful to the real business?
It's
kitschy. It's a little kitschy.
It is. I think Hollywood has just made the word pawn just be something so shady and so unsavory, and it's not that at all.
Right.
It's about what kind of environment are you providing? What kind of environment are you inviting people into? And it's it's a reflection of the owners, I think. It's a reflection of like the word pawn. So many people will call in or come in and say, hey, I want to pawn this item. Okay, well, how much you want a loan for? And they say, no, I want to sell it. So it's a misconception, I think, from the top of what the word pawn actually means. I mean, pawn means a loan, it's a loan. It's not selling, it's a loan for your collateral.
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, what do you think that like customers kind of got their education in all of this from those TV shows and come into your shop and they're
absolutely.
just like, trying to haggle you and back and forth? Like, has it given people, I guess, more balls to be like, hey, wait a minute, I know this is worth like $50 or something like that?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that they come in and they're like, where's Chum Lee? I'm like, oh, like, no.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy. And I don't know. It's like they come in and they're prepared to negotiate. So I need to be prepared to negotiate.
Right.
Like my balls are bigger. Like
there you go.
Gotta negotiate. And what I've noticed is about the experience. Like what kind of experience are you giving your customers when they come in?
Yeah.
If they wanted some cookie cutter, experience, then they can go to the mall, But what we offer is just, it's cool. It's very just down to earth. It's very, hey, what's going on today? And, it's a conversation.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's pretty awesome. I mean, around here, do you guys see like very cool, unique items? Like what are some of the coolest things that you've gotten into the shop?
So I think one of the coolest things was it was a big gold chalice that was from a young little boy, was an altar boy at one point, and he had moved out and his parents were cleaning out the attic and they said, I don't know if this is gold. I mean, this thing was probably 12 inches high. And we're looking at it thinking, oh my, that's gold. It was $multi-thousand gold chalice, which was something that was pretty cool. We get phone calls all the time like, hey, will you do a pawn on a quarter cow or
oh geez.
Like we do a pawn on a skull. And, my first question is, how do you get your hands on a human skull?
Yeah.
So
that's intense.
It is.
The chalice was gold?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
man. That's awesome.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. And he kept his Matchbox cars in it.
Holy cow. That's so neat. Like, did that come with any kind of story at all whatsoever? Like, do any of your items really come with like really great stories? That's kind of like what I'm into. I'm the backstory guy. I really like that stuff.
And you would love the pawn shop because everything has a story. Absolutely everything. One time we had a saxophone come in and, there might have been some unsavory green stuff in the sax, like stuffed in. And, we're like, we can't take this. No. And the guy's like, this was my grandpa's saxophone.
That's hysterical.
So it's interesting just everything has a story.
Yeah.
Everything, and, women come in and their husbands pass and they want to do something like memorial jewelry, like with their husband's wedding bands and, thumbprints and just it's.
Talk to me about that. What is it? What's memorial jewelry?
So if you have a loved one that passes, if your wife passes away and you want to create some piece of jewelry to remember them by, and recently we've refinished a woman's, her husband passed and she wanted a pendant, so we turned it into a heart pendant for her to wear on a daily basis. Cool. So there's a lot of sentimental meaning when it comes to jewelry that I've noticed, and dealing with it for so long. You kind of have to take a step back and remember that, because that's something that you get caught up in. Okay, the gold, the diamonds, the gemstones, and then you're like, wait a minute, this is a finished piece that means something to somebody.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's important to keep in the forefront of your mind, I'm sure, especially in that business, because there's so many like transactions going on all the time that you could probably lose yourself just in business. You know what I mean? Like in that area.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's really cool just to like hear these like different stories and things. But as far as like the jewelry business goes, I guess did you guys kind of start as like the pawn like jewelry, and then do you guys like actually get in like other pieces that you guys go out and find, or how does that work?
So the pawn shop was always designed with the idea of the front half of the house has electronics. It has musical instruments, tools, TVs, game systems. And then the back end of the house was always jewelry showcases and filled with jewelry. And that was kind of the niche, that we are not just a pawn shop, we are also a jewelry store as well.
Yeah.
So that was always kind of there. And then when Brian and I joined forces, came in, and he's the jeweler on site.
Yeah.
Does everything in house, and he's one talented guy.
Yeah. How did you guys meet?
So my first husband, who opened the shop, the business model down south, there was a jeweler on site, and when we moved up to Greensburg, opened the store, that was something we were always looking for, was a jeweler. And not just, a jeweler that can size rings, but one that can stand behind his work and just is really just a master. And so we put out the call, and, Brian fit the bill. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Very neat. So I guess being located down there by the point and everything like
Yes.
that. I mean, so that area is getting kind of more redeveloped down there. That's nice.
It's awesome to see. Yeah.
So there's down in that area for a while, I guess back in the day, it was kind of you drove through that area. You really didn't stop down there. I mean, there's really the stereo shop.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. But now that there's other stores down there and you guys moved in down there, there's a lot going on this end of town now.
Yeah, which is awesome
it's cool
to see. It's so cool. We were, for 10 years, we were up the street where Fox's Pizza is now, across from the UPS store.
Yeah.
And, the building that we're in now came available, and it was just too good to pass up. It'd be awesome to own this piece of property. So, I was 9 months pregnant, and, let's move a store. Why not? So
you'd be surprised how many stories in this room start like that.
It was pure
I was
insanity.
pregnant, or
I mean, one good thing, I didn't have to lift a box, so that's
awesome.
That was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
That worked out well. But being down where we're at now, and having, Wellness on the Point and Top Coat and Stereo Shop and 60-Minute Mission, I mean, it's all, you see people walking, and you see people walking by, and, people come in that may have never stepped foot in a pawn shop before.
Yeah.
I get that all the time, and it's so cool. And a lot of the times it's, women come in and they say, "My God, I've never been in a pawn shop before. What is this?"
Right. Yeah.
And it's really cool. And it's cool that I'm there to be it's welcome. This is my place. It's good for you to be here. Let me show you what we're about.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
You're right. I think that Hollywood has definitely kind of tarnished the whole idea of it. I mean, you can tell people are kind of hesitant to go into pawn shops. My first time in a pawn shop, I was I don't know what this is. I knew what it was, but I don't know why I was nervous. I just felt somebody was going to be "Hey, what are you doing?" Or try and rip me off somehow. You know what I mean? And that's not the case at all. It's just all those theatrics and stuff for TV shows and all of that shit. It's just it's so crazy to think that, they take these businesses and the whole world just all of a sudden thinks that, that's the way these businesses operate and things. But I've been down to the pawn shop. I was down there. I took my stepson down there. We got him a guitar amp.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. He loves it.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's a bunch of good stuff in there. I mean, I haven't really gotten down there to weave in and out of all the aisles and stuff and see everything. But my cousin Gwen came down and had a ring done with you. Is that right?
Yes. And that's how I found out about you. I mean, she is she was a client that's never been in the store before, and it's "Oh, I didn't even know you were here." A friend of mine told me about this, and there's a jeweler inside the pawn shop. So mystical creature, Yeah. It was pretty cool. Yeah, she. And what's awesome is that we established these new connections, and just, I don't do advertising. It's print advertising. In my perspective, I just feel print is just not the avenue anymore.
It's not.
for me, paying, hundreds of dollars for a front cover of a magazine, word of mouth is so much more powerful.
It really is.
Like your friends are going to say, hey, Jordan, where do I go to get a ring?
Yeah.
Or, what was your experience there? And that's what people want. They want to hear where their friends go. They want that great one-on-one personal attention experience and be involved in the process.
Yeah. I mean, that's the big thing. Just kind of like, with this whole podcast thing was just like, I'm an advertising guy. That's what I do like outside of this. So it's just like, I shoot videos for companies and do that. But the word of mouth that's how this grew. Like, that's how this turned into its own animal.
Yeah.
Because word of mouth. And it was just like, it's so nice to be able to build these connections with, other local business owners. And that's the thing that I joke about. I was just talking to a gentleman last night at the Palace Theater, and we were talking about, networking groups and BNI and all of that stuff. And he was like, yeah, he's like, on such and such a morning, I'm up and I'm there and I'm blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, man, I don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. to go and like be told like, oh, hey, sorry, there's another video guy here already. So,
yeah.
Maybe, you can talk about something else. Well, no, that's my business. So I was like, I'm just going to bring people to me. That's what I want to do. So like the word of mouth thing is very important. I mean, like, the whole idea is you're on the show. People are here to listen to you. They're not here to listen to me. So your friends and your family are going to listen to the episode. They're going to share it with the people they know. And they're going to be like, oh, hey, that's Ashley, blah, blah, blah. So it's just like, it's real cool. And I like your whole take on like the advertising and stuff, because like being an advertising guy, I really do appreciate print and billboards and magazines and newspapers and all of that stuff. There's a special place in my heart for all of that.
Right.
But at this point in time, we're getting so modern. It's just, there's you have to get creative in different ways. And it's cool to see that you're doing it.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
We're trying to see, I'm not going to know if something doesn't work unless I do try it. Doing these collabs with other small businesses, that's advertising.
It is. It absolutely is. Working on social media.
Yeah.
Social media is advertising.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's something that some people don't understand. They're like, oh, you just, you're dicking around on your phone all day. Really not. Like,
right.
You're working. When you're on there, you're putting up a post. I just talked to Miss Pennsylvania last week.
Yes.
She's sitting here telling me, and have you seen her social media?
I listened, and she has 3 different Instagrams and 50,000 Facebooks or what? I don't even know how she juggles it all. I don't.
She is like, if you need motivation to like how, like, I'm feeling crappy today, I want to sit on the couch, roll through her Instagram, and then you're going to be like, okay, I need to get my ass up and do something.
Right. I totally want to pick her ear. I would love for her to like look at my Instagram and be like, oh, this is what you need to do. I mean, Instagram is such a new beast to me that I'm trying and I'm kind of tiptoeing into it all, but it's just.
Yeah. I've had multiple guests in here that are very good at marketing themselves. Victoria Fox the week before.
Yeah.
She has a pretty big Instagram account. Ginny from Clarabella. She just like, she's great at it. She always posts. She's very consistent and has these little tips and tricks like, oh yeah, well, instead of posting like, hey, we're at the local studio, just pick a business in town, a popular business, and just say like, tag that business and people are going to run into the podcast. So it's just like, things that I would never think to do, but I've seen other people doing is, you learn stuff from people all the time.
Oh, that's my biggest thing is that I just want to keep learning and keep expanding. And how can I take it one step further?
Yeah.
Coming up on the holidays for us, my favorite time of year is we get Christmas trees and we sell them at the pawn shop.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't believe the amount of people that come in and they said, you're selling Christmas trees? I've never even been here. And they're like, we just stopped for a tree. Yeah. And they come in and they're a customer.
Do you know how cool it is to be able to get a Christmas tree in the city, like in town?
I think it would be pretty cool.
That's awesome. I mean, like we live like right up the street. So it's like last year, I said, I was like, hey, let's get down there and get a real tree. And we ended up not being home a lot for the holidays this year. And I was like, okay, maybe next year. We'll do it next year. I don't want to come home to like a browned out tree.
Right. Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Got it.
But I mean, I think it's cool that like what you guys are doing, you guys offer a lot of stuff for everybody. And your staff is very helpful. I went down actually the day that we found the guitar amp.
Okay.
We actually were looking for a bike for the one kid. And I had one that I was going to pawn or sell. Yes.
Sell.
I'm learning. Sell to you guys and then take one that fit.
Right. Okay.
And, we were out there and he was like riding and stuff. And, one of your guys, I don't want to get him in trouble or anything. He was like, I mean, the bike you brought actually fits him very well. And he was like, and I was like, and that to me immediately made me want to go in there and realize like, I came down here to spend money. Like
right.
I was going to buy the kid something anyway. So I was just like, all right, different interest. Guitar, he needs an amp. Went in, bought him an amp. So it was just like, it was very, it was helpful. And it was very like, that's totally against the stereotypes that, people might have, when they're thinking about like a pawn shop.
Yeah.
It's very cool. So, but like besides the Chalice, nothing like too crazy, any kind of like guitars, anything like, oh my God, this was so-and-so's guitar or anything like that. I mean, those are the things you see on the shows,
right?
Because everybody's like, "Oh, that's the famous place. I'm going to take this BB King, blues guitar over."
Definitely heard stories of such, but to actually validate and confirm that those items are from those artists,
right?
I need a COA. Like, I need to know that this has been touched by, Louis Armstrong. I need to know those things because how am I supposed to resell it? I can't sell a story,
right? Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty wild. What, as far as like marriage and like engagement rings, things like that, this year especially.
Yes.
You guys probably have better deals on rings than anywhere else around here, I would imagine.
I think that, not just because of 2020 COVID, but I think that in general, we have the resources to purchase these items, the gold, the diamonds, we can purchase those at a discounted price or at a fair price. And, we want to turn that on to you,
Yeah.
And we're not here to make a killing. We're not here to, be a jewelry store with the fancy lights and the, pretty showcases. Like we are who we are. And, we want to, service that guy that just got off the job working 12 hours, putting on a roof. And we want to have him be able to feel comfortable to come in the store, buy his wife an engagement ring, Sorry.
Oh, is that your phone?
Apparently,
I was like, what is that? I've never heard that noise before.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I think it's really cool just to like be able to work with, pass on that savings that you guys, are getting and things because, I mean, any guy that's listening right now knows that they've been taken for a ride if they go into a jewelry store, like the mall.
It just gives me I cringe, just because I see the quality that comes out of those types of stores. But then again, there's room at the top for all of us. There's some mom and pop jewelry stores in town. There's the mall jewelry stores. There's us. I mean, there's room for us all. We all have to find that niche that we're in and embrace it.
Yeah, that's cool. I watched a documentary not too long ago. Have you ever seen the show Adam Knows Everything? So it's just it's this guy out in LA and he's like a young kid, but he does these shows and he kind of like debunks like why things are the way they are and things. And diamonds, that was like one of the ones that I watched recently, and it was really cool because like he went into the story about like how De Beers and stuff like kind of put that whole idea in your mind that, it's got to be X months worth of salary that you're spending on this ring. And, why is this diamond valuable, but this other rock isn't as valuable? Things like that.
Yeah.
Do you, do do you ever see any of those documentaries or anything, or does that the history of like all of that stuff interest you? You being
absolutely
certified and all that.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. It's also opens my eyes as to what the masses what they know and what they're being told. So I need to educate myself too as a consumer.
Yeah.
Not just a seller. And my goal is to represent items exactly what they are. I'm not trying to, this is a really great deal for your, for your wife. And,
right.
My goal is to establish trust with a customer, and I want them to feel like, what, she'll tell me if something looks like shit or not. Like she'll tell me,
Right, yeah.
We had a customer who he said, I feel so bad. I went to the mall and bought earrings. I feel like such a jerk. I'm like, you were a jerk, yes. Let's see what we can provide you. Like, let me just tell me what you spent, and I'll show you what I have in that price range for you. So, yeah, it's cool to have those connections with our clients. It really is. That's probably the most fun. That's the fun part of the job. Is getting those text messages and there's like, she said yes, and it's
that's awesome.
It's really cool. That's
really neat. So you're a part of that story, and that's really neat. So, like, do you guys get a lot of return business? Do you see like the same people coming in once you establish your?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a holiday, right? So there's always a birthday. There's always
that's cool
anniversary. There's always I'm sorry. There's
lots of that.
Yeah. Well, this helped me not sleep on the couch. That type of thing. So it's fun because we do see those, and we get to follow our customers' journeys with their kids, and I remember when so-and-so was a baby, and now they're graduating high school. So it's cool. It's fun to watch.
And the cool thing, I think that, you guys have all these pieces and stuff, but you guys do custom jewelry.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
And that's something that's relatively new to me. Brian and I have been, working together for 9 or 10 years now. And, I'm learning something new every day. I didn't know that's how that was done.
Yeah.
And it's fun to watch it just come from a simple drawing to actual piece. I still don't know how he does it.
That's crazy. I mean, that's like insane artistry.
It is.
I mean, jewelry making was such a cool thing that I wanted to do in college. That was a class that you could take.
Yeah.
And, it just looked so meticulous and so like, I don't know. I just couldn't focus that much at that point in my life.
Right.
I was just like, no, that's not for me. But I mean, it just like, it's so awesome. And that's something that I've always like thought was such a cool thing, was to like, make a piece of jewelry. That would be so cool to be able to do. And, you guys is people like me, they get the idea, we can't do it. So we come to you guys and you guys take care of it for us.
Yes. Yes. It's really cool when a guy like yourself comes in, he has the drawing, just pushes it across the table and says, can you do this? Those are the fun projects. Like those are cool to really get in there and, text pictures back and forth and say, here's a rendering. What do you think? And, it's fun.
That's really awesome. Very cool. Did you have anything else that you wanted to share with us?
Just people come visit us. Stop in, say hi. Check out our items in the pawn shop, and if we're here to do loans as well, and it's just something for everybody. It's just a really cool atmosphere. I have a great staff. I think that the crew I have is just, they're like family to me. So I couldn't do it without them. That's who the big thanks goes to.
That's awesome.
Is the people that help me day in and day out.
Very cool. Yeah. That's awesome. That's nice to hear. An employer very thankful for their employees, especially nowadays. That's awesome. So, all right, now's the time that you can plug wherever, the Instagram, the Facebook, all of that good stuff.
All right, so you can find us on Facebook at the Pawn and Jewelry Exchange. Also on Facebook, we're at Brian Nicklaus Jewelry and Ashley Nicklaus Appraisals and Gem Lab. And on Instagram, we're at Pawn and Jewelry Exchange. Also on Instagram is Brian Nicklaus Jewelry. So please check us out, follow us, like us, and we're happy to see you guys in the store soon.
Awesome. So one thing I did want to add is during this whole entire like COVID thing, when we came down to look for the bike, we went to Dick's, we went to Walmart, we went all the places. No bikes.
No bikes.
No bikes.
No bikes.
We came down and you guys had a big selection of bikes.
Bikes, yes.
So yeah, you guys have things. Don't forget.
Inventory
that,
inventory is always changing. So, keep an open mind. If you don't need something right away, if we don't have it, we'll probably have it soon. That's what the cool thing is that it's never the same inventory over and over again. It's always changing.
It's awesome. It's a good way to think out of the box, and you could probably find something down there that you're not going to be able to find, in a store.
Right.
Right. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a long time coming. We've been kind of chatting back and forth to get you on the schedule, so I'm glad it finally happened.
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.